So what is messy texture? Those are terms that are referred to over and over again when it comes to hairstyles. So to me, when I think messy, it means that it's a little more messed up, a little more disheveled looking. And then texture, to me, when I think or hear the word texture, that means separation. That means you can see a lot of movement and pieciness going on, and just movement. To me, texture is movement, really. And how do you go about doing that? Okay, that's really the key of what I'm going to be breaking down today. What do you need for your haircuts? What kind of products do you need? Messy texture is something that can be achieved by having the right length haircut, first of all. Because to me, if the hair is too long, the only way to achieve texture is by using a certain type of product which makes your hair look wet. When the hair is wet, it's obviously a lot more separated and you're seeing more of the pieciness. To me, texture means pieciness, separation, okay? And when the hair is dry, that's when everything is kind of more binded together and a lot more full. In order to achieve noticeable texture on dry hair, to me, it needs to be on the shorter side. And that means, I would say, anywhere from an inch to maybe 2.5 inches the most throughout the top here. And then it goes down to the haircut. So the haircut itself does not just mean take hair and cut it 1.5 inches to 2 inches long, whatever. Yes, that's true, but it goes way beyond that. So are you creating a textured, messy look where it's looking like this, and then the front here, it goes shorter to longer into the front? Like, is that the kind of look you're going for? Because to me, this has a lot of texture and it's messy, both in one. Okay, that's what's great about this, is that you can create so many different types of shapes to where this may be 2.5 inches long, but this is like 3.5 to almost 4 inches long. There's a lot going on here. I personally like this type of style. So the person cutting your hair really needs to understand, what does texture mean? What does messy mean? It's something that you can run your fingers through it, try to mess it up, but that actually is what makes the hairstyle look good. And in that haircut, there needs to be a lot going on. And that's where techniques like what I do all the time is like point cutting, where you're actually going in and you're creating different lengths. So if you actually, I don't always suggest doing this at home, but say for example, you've got a haircut and it just seems so plain and boring. There's not a lot going on top. It's short, but it's just even throughout the entire haircut. You can actually take pieces of hair, you can twist it together, and you can make little chomps into the hair and the very, very kind of 3/4 of the way to the tip of the hair. And what that is doing is actually breaking up that solid type of just flat look. This is what's creating texture in haircuts. I do this all the time because what happens is when you go and shake the head, right, or shake the hair like this with your hands, the haircut's doing a lot of the work. So when you're getting your haircut, make sure whoever's cutting it, and you want something that's a bit more on the textured or messy looking side, that is where the haircut really comes into play. So another example will be something like this, to where you may have seen haircuts like this throughout many, many years of me being a hairstylist. I've done and seen this hairstyle many times. Personally, it's one of my favorite hairstyles, and that is where it's just softly blended and faded up from like a number 2 or something. You can even do a 1 or even a 3, just softly tapered up and blended into where the top, again, is that 1.5 inches, 2 inches to 2.5 inches of length, and it all just goes in throughout the front here. The difference on this is that this is not a lot longer than the last mannequin I showed you. This is just maybe 1/2 inch longer than everything else. So you've got that messy texture, but now it's a bit more tame and not so obvious. And I love this haircut. You can do the same techniques as I mentioned with the shears. You could also use thinning shears where you're taking twists and chopping in. It's just creating the texture, right? It's creating those different lengths and that separation when you're styling your hair. The best way as far as getting this type of look when you're blow drying it, I'd say blow dry the hair all forward. Don't use a lot of product, and when it's wet, make it fully dry. That's when you go back in and use the product. Here's another example of this is something that really is pretty straightforward. It's relatively short, but again, it's messy. I'm messing it up, but as you can see, it's got a lot happening, even though it is, you think, oh, it's just a plain haircut. No, I can make this into a really textured, messy type of haircut. And that's kind of what we're going for. What type of products do we need? I have a huge variety of products that I would suggest for something like this. The wax paste is great. The crafted paste, the crafted sea salt paste, the cream clay, the green paste, talc. The powder is awesome for creating these types of looks because it's super, super matte, very, very pliable. Powder is one of the best products for creating that messy texture. I would stay away from just a straight hair gel, any sort of pomade, anything oily or greasy like that. I would not suggest that for a messy type of look. You want something that's pliable, got a matte finish, clays, paste, those types of things that work into the hair very easily, and you can rough it up and still have the ability to style it and play around. All my products have those benefits to them. That's why I'm super excited about them. So if you go to shop.thesalonguy.com, use code YouTube20, 20% off and free shipping on orders over $50. And let me know if you found this video helpful. See you soon.